What's up, guys? Want to share an awesome mock call role play. So this is one of the hardest interview stages that people face, and I work with my clients obviously one-on-one to help them crush this. And so this is a live role play example of me prepping with one of my clients for a mock call for a company deal that he had an interview with. So I give him live examples of me handling those, and this honestly covers a lot of the main objections that you can get on a mock call, and it also helps you understand what this actually sounds like so that you can actually listen to this, marinate your brain on how a cold call goes, how it sounds, so that you can actually go into these interviews with confidence and even use this to listen to over and over again to get a feel for tonality, words, objection handling, and the high-level process of understanding how this works. Also asked him to give me no grace and hit me with as many objections as possible and be as difficult as possible so that we can prepare in the hardest way so that it makes these interviews easy. Check it out, and I hope you enjoy. All right, ring ring.
Hello?
Hey, Rayan, we actually haven't spoken before.
Pardon?
Yeah, hey, this is actually Chad calling from Deal, giving you a quick call. We actually haven't spoken before.
Okay.
Yeah, I know this is totally out of the blue, man. Is it a bad time to chat? I noticed that you were the CEO over at OneLead, and I had a couple questions after looking at the website. What I did here was I asked for permission, right? I said, is it a bad time to chat, right? This is one of the things that you need to have to really allow the conversation to happen. And so if you ask a question like, is it a bad time to chat? Do you have a couple seconds? Something to get permission can help the conversation go a lot smoother.
Yeah, sure, I'm busy. Just keep this quick.
Yeah, I'll be brief anyways, man. Honestly, yeah, see that you're the CEO. I was actually just doing some research on OneLead and your LinkedIn. And yeah, I noticed that your recent post mentioned you guys reached product market fit kind of recently, which is exciting, and congrats. And I also see that you guys are growing internationally from some of the hiring postings, which is great. And look, the reason I reached out is we work with a lot of similar cybersecurity companies that are in your stage of growth right now. And usually they're having trouble either keeping compensation compliant, managing payroll across different currencies as they're hiring, and just onboarding new hires as they kind of grow into that next level. So I was curious how you guys were managing your HR compliance and hiring situation over there, if it might make sense to kind of potentially have a chat about Deal and how we can help. What I did here was go from having a cold call to actually having a warm call, okay? And the way that I did this was I called out specific research that I had done on the company, right? Things like that they are hiring internationally, that they recently got funded and reached product market fit, which are things that are relevant to the reason I'm calling and the problems that us as a software, in this case, in this example, hypothetically Deal, can potentially solve for them. Okay, and what I did was I used what I call a pain needle, where I'm literally using a big needle to inject pain points into the conversation so that I'm making it easier for them to open up about specific things and steer the conversation in the direction of problems that we can actually solve. Because on a meeting, all you need is just a problem that you can solve to book the meeting, right? And so that's what I'm doing here.
Oh no, we're fine. Like everything we have is working for us.
Okay, that's great. I'm just curious, like who usually handles the compliance and the HR software? Would that be you? Do you have like someone else on your team that kind of oversees that? I guess I'm just kind of curious.
No, I take care of it, but there's somebody else as well. But like we're fine.
I ask this is sometimes when you get resistance, it can be helpful to ask who is the person that oversees this, because sometimes you think you know, but then there's usually someone else who actually handles that area. And just think about it. If you're someone who doesn't really oversee an area and you're getting a cold call about potential problems there, you're probably just gonna like get the person off the phone. And so I like asking who is the right person, right? And in this case, we do find out that this person is actually overseeing it, in which case we move forward. Okay. What are you guys working toward this year in terms of like growth? Are you guys hiring on lots of people? Are you guys like holding off on that? Are you trying to grow, or what are you guys kind of working toward? Now, here's where I got stuck, okay? Now, this is what you can do if you get stuck. If somebody goes, we're totally fine, we have something for that, right? We don't have any issues, right? Then we can go from trying to find problems to trying to find goals. What are they working toward, right? So if you get stuck and they say that they don't have any issues or anything like that, Switch your mind from problems to goals, okay? What are you guys working toward? What are your goals for the rest of this year in relation to X, the area that your software will solve, right? And so that's what I did here. And I actually got him to open up and got something tangible that I can work toward, right?
We're looking to hire more internationally, but that's working fine. Our EOR is taking care of that. You don't have to worry.
Okay, the EOR. Okay, so you guys use the EOR. Yeah, I actually saw that you might be using one. How is it going? Do you have any issues with it, or is it working like perfectly fine?
No, like it's amazing. We have zero
That's
issues.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did that process kind of look like? I guess I'm just curious, honestly, because a lot of teams that I speak with, when they're really trying to get to that next level of growth and they're using an EOR, there's usually some issues, right? I'm injecting problems now.
Yeah.
Usually with the EOR, they have a lot higher fees. It doesn't really scale well, that it's kind of hard to track all the data. There's limited flexibility on the contracts, and you don't really have full visibility into like your workforce into one place. And it honestly just takes a lot of manual time from what I see. And you being the CEO, I'm sure your time is going to be well spent in other areas. And so I'm just curious, like, are you seeing any of those issues? What I did here was I pulled out good old friendly pain needle, right? Or you could call it like a pain injection needle, right? So I'm injecting more common problems that people like them face. In this case, that use a competitor solution. Okay. And so this is what you can find out even just using AI and ChatGPT when you're preparing for a mock call. Like they might say we have something in place already. Okay. Now, what you can find is you can ask AI, what are the top common challenges with the competitor solutions that this company, would potentially have, right? And so that's where you can inject those in and then ask further, okay, are you seeing any of those issues, right? So I'm, again, injecting problems. Whenever you get stuck, inject new common problems. And so it can be helpful to have a list of top problems that your company solves for people, right? Top problems that your target companies have that you can help. And this can help you steer the conversation and make sure you can swim out when you get stuck.
No, I'm not necessarily seeing any of that. Yeah, just send me an email. Just send me an email.
Okay, look, I get it. And look, hey, it's totally fine. Look, I'm not asking you to change anything today. And I'm happy to send you an email. In fact, I actually already did, and I don't want to keep just hitting up your inbox, right? And so I guess I want to ask is this an actual, like, do you actually want to see something specific from us, or is this just a way of trying to get off the phone, which is okay. You can be honest with me. This is the typical send me an email objection. Okay. Now, if you're doing this right in sales, you're always going to send an email before, or at least send a few emails in between your call cadence, your outreach cadence, right? Usually you're doing a combination of emails, phone calls, and LinkedIn messages to try and get a conversation with someone, to see if it makes sense and qualify it to see if it makes sense to get on a meeting. Okay. So in this case, I leveraged that and just assumed I had already sent him an email. Okay. So I called that out. I said, look, I've been sending you emails, man. And I'm also being honest on, is this really something like you actually want more information about us, or do you just want to get off the phone, right? I'm trying to get him to open up about what's actually behind his objection and understand where his objection is coming from. Okay.
To be honest, just the way to get off the phone. But yeah, you could just send me the pricing and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Okay. Well, look, I get if you want to get off the phone, but typically when people ask about price, it indicates that there's maybe some interest in at least looking at the solution.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to give you some pricing, but it would usually be after a quick call with one of our specialists where we can actually see what solution would actually be right for you. Because yeah, there's different pricing depending on the company, depending on the problems that we're going to actually potentially help you with. And so, I mean, are you opposed to having a quick chat with one of our specialists to just get a feel for the software and if there's any areas we could improve what you're currently doing? All right, guys, so this is the what's the price objection. If you get this on a cold call, you have to realize something about this tech sales space, okay? There's different packages that every software has. There's different tiers of software. There's different aspects and packages. And so everything about price is custom to the person, the company, the problems they have, and what package would make sense. And honestly, it's not your job as an SDR to give them price. And so anytime you get this objection, you can tell them, hey, Pricing is custom. I'd be happy to give you some ballpark, but honestly, if you're asking about price, one, there's probably some interest in at least seeing our solution, right? So I'm kind of turning it into like a low pressure way to have a meeting, and then also positioning a meeting as how they're going to be able to get the price, because you as an SDR, again, can't provide that. And so I'm like positioning a meeting as to help him get that price if he wants it, and actually calling out, hey, is there interest? Because you're asking about price, right?
Right now we're really busy. Yeah, just send me an email to the same email you've been sending it to.
Okay, I get it, man. And look, if you got to jump, that's cool. Again, I'm not sure what you want me to send you. Is there anything specific you'd like to see from us? One thing I'm doing here is this is a very high resistance call, okay? And this might happen. You might get a very hard interviewer who's giving you a really hard time. And in this case, I actually asked my client to give me the hardest time possible because I wanted to show him the highest level of resistance. And truth is, every mock call, like most mock calls you're gonna have on interview processes, aren't gonna be this hard, okay? But what I'm doing, if it gets hard and you're getting a lot of pushback or resistance from the interviewer, is you can keep lowering the resistance of the call. I keep saying things like, well, look, man, if you wanna get off, that's totally cool. Like, I'm detaching, I'm not being high pressure or pushy. I'm saying, look, I just wanna honestly see if it makes sense for us to chat. That's all I'm calling about, right? And lowering the resistance with saying stuff like that can help. Now, in this case, he's asking for the email again, in which case I want to actually find out, what does he want to see, right? Not that I'm agreeing to send him an email, but that I'm just trying to see where his interest lies. And if I can find that out, then I have something to work with in terms of why is he interested in that? What problems, right? And then again, I'm just trying to get a problem that we can solve, or at least get some interest or agreement that there are some issues that could be worth looking into further on a call with an account executive. So that's exactly where my head's going in this part.
Just a bit more, I guess, about the EOR. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So you would say that maybe there's some curiosity around the EOR and potentially how we compare. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, sure. Just the pricing.
Okay, like I said about pricing, we can absolutely cover that. I'm happy to give you some pricing. And I'd also be happy to give you a comparison on how we compare to the EOR, right? So, I mean, do you have 15 minutes? I know you got to jump now, but tomorrow we have 15 minutes at around noon or so, or we can honestly be flexible, but I'd be happy to just give you that straight up on a call where we can actually show you how we're different than an EOR, and then potentially walk through some pricing after we actually decide if this is something even worth looking into and what potential problems you actually might be seeing, right? So, I mean, do you even have five to 15 minutes tomorrow to kind of go through that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I can do it tomorrow.
Amazing. Let's do it. Guys, so I leveraged his area of interest, which was around how we compare to an EOR. Now, I didn't get any tangible problems yet, but if there are some interest in how we compare to a competitor, I think that's enough to also book the meeting. And again, this is just a mock call, okay? This is just a hypothetical example. Not every live call with prospects are gonna go exactly like this, but the way that I'm handling this here is more than enough to pass a mock call interview, right? It's impressive to just not give up on the conversation, right? So that's exactly what I'm doing here.
Where I messed up.
So I'm just not letting you, I'm just not giving up on the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much it, guys. One thing I missed is the actual logistics on booking the meeting, in which case it would be as simple as, amazing, well, what does your availability look like tomorrow, right? Okay, yeah, we have this time, blah, blah, blah. Okay, 12 p.m. works. All right, amazing. I'm gonna shoot you an email while we're still on the call here. What's your email? Okay, is there anybody else that you feel like would add value to would find value from having the conversation too? I know you mentioned you had another person that overseed that. Okay, I'm qualifying for authority again. Okay, amazing. Feel free to add them on. I just sent the email over. Can you just confirm while we're on the phone here that you received it? So I made sure it didn't go to the wrong address. Okay, you see it? Amazing, cool. And then I'd hype up the account executive that they'd be speaking with, and I'd say something like, amazing, I'm gonna put you with Jennifer. She's one of our specialists. She's been working with cybersecurity companies for over 10 years, or just hype them up in some way, right? Again, I know we didn't cover too much here, but I guarantee you that you're gonna find some areas at least that you might be able to see improvements on in our software. And look, again, if it doesn't work out, that's totally fine. It's a free call. We could just walk you through and see if this is even worth diving deeper on, right? But based on what you're telling me here and based on your goals that you mentioned, I think it could be really valuable to have this chat, right? And then that's hyping it up, right? And that's gonna increase your show rate as well. And if you can do this to your interviewers, they're gonna be very impressed, guys. Now that wraps up this mock call, guys. Again, this is an example of me working one-on-one with one of my clients. We do live role plays one-on-one. We cover everything from finding companies, interview role plays, prep, everything that you need to break into your first tech sales role. A lot of my clients are getting very high level interview processes with some of the most competitive companies out there. If you're interested in potentially working with me, you can click the first link in the description where you can actually book a free call with me to see if that makes sense for you, right? It's a no pressure call. I usually just have a conversation with people and people get value out of it either way, whether or not it even makes sense to work with me or not. If it doesn't, that's totally cool. We go our separate ways. The second link in the description is my live community where I actually have been working with people in a group setting. This is the cheapest hands-on way that you can work with me. We do about 2 live group calls per month. And on top of that, there's an entire community and course that brings you A to Z, pre-recorded videos of me sharing my screen, walking you through exactly how to do everything that I'm talking about step by step. It's just a more planned and tailored way to just give you the step-by-step action steps to breaking into your first role. Second link in the description if you want to check that out. Third link in the description is my free book. If you want to break into tech sales and just get a free guide, I have a full guide walking you through that. A lot of people have actually broken into this space just by reading that alone. It also shifts your beliefs and identity and gives you confidence to doing this stuff and why you actually are qualified to do it, no matter where you are, what experience level, or whether or not you have a college degree or not, it doesn't matter. So check that out in the third link in the description. Other than that, hope you got value from this. I'll see you in another one. I'm out. Peace.